Welcome to Yes We Canada. I'm Lisa Evans, and I'm your announcer. Please consider supporting our independent podcast with a paid subscription for as little as $3 a month by going to yeswecanada.buzzsprout.com and hit the support button. You can cancel anytime. Your support means the world to us. Canada curious? More so every day. This is the Yes We Canada podcast, the progressive's guide to getting the fuck out. This episode, Nerd Prom, the White House Correspondents Dinner.
Hey, I'm Matt Zimble in Montreal. You guys have heard the expression, politics is show business for ugly people, right? We've talked about that on the pod before. Yep, Washington, D.C., Hollywood for the homely. And this is their Academy Awards.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the White House Correspondents Dinner, the night when Washington celebrates itself. Somebody's got to do it.
The first gala dinner was held in 1921, and to use the word gala was perhaps a stretch. It was a small affair, about 50 journalists, all men, all white, who got together at the Arlington Hotel to inaugurate a few new officers. Yes, and in 1921, that bastion of liberal thought, the news media, did not allow black journalists to join the White House Correspondents Association until 1953. Women were not allowed to attend the dinner until Helen Thomas, a veteran of the White House press corps who covered 10 presidencies, pressured JFK in 1962 to refuse his invitation to the event unless women journalists were welcomed. Which, of course, makes complete sense because my boy Johnny Kennedy, oh, he was an alley cat. A renowned ladies' man, a chick magnet, a rake, a playa, a fuckboy president. Why would he want to go to a dinner where there was no girly action?
Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
The first time a president attended the White House Correspondents Dinner was 3 years after it was founded, when in 1924 Republican President Calvin Coolidge accepted an invitation as the guest of honor. Now, Cal Coolidge was known as a man of few words. In fact, his nickname was Silent Cal. Folks, we're just going to stop here for a second. Meditate for a few seconds on the idea of having a president of few words.
I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. You should be ashamed of yourself reading that because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and
these are the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace.
Not those words, MOTUS, you imbecile. President Coolidge once famously said, and we're hoping you're listening, MOTUS,
"The words of a president have an enormous weight and ought not to be used indiscriminately."
We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong.
So silent was Silent Cal that a guest seated beside him at a dinner once told the president that he'd made a bet that he could get more than 2 words out of the president's mouth. Coolidge responded, "You lose." So suffice it to say, Silent Cal Coolidge wasn't booked at that White House Correspondents' Dinner for his gregarious personality, but still, the President of the United States? That's a get for any banquet, I'd say. Since Coolidge attended in 1924, every sitting president since has been present at the White House Correspondents' Dinner at least once. That is, until 2016, when the man with the thin orange skin took office. President Donald Trump refused to attend, calling journalists fake news and, quote, the enemy of the people, end quote. Now, for the record, the Donald has attended the event as a civilian twice, but oh my God, he's been in the room a lot, as the punchline of many jokes.
Of course, the 2024 election is in full swing. And yes, age is an issue. I'm a grown man running against a 6-year-old.
Sitting at the same table, I see Mike Bloomberg. Mike, a combative, controversial New York billionaire, is leading the GOP primary, and it is not you. That has to sting a little bit. Although it's not an entirely fair comparison between you and the Donald. After all, Mike was a big city mayor. He knows policy in depth. And he's actually worth the amount of money that he says he is.
Some say that kind of taunting made Trump decide to run for the presidency, which is why your gas prices are as high as they've ever been, your health care premiums have skyrocketed, and the U.S. is mired in yet another foreign war. Why? Because 77 million of your fellow Americans looked at a man who was a reality TV star, a man who sponsored an armed insurrection of the American government, a man who bankrupted casinos, airlines, universities, whatever he touched, and thought, "Some bitch, he's my guy, good to go, MAGA baby." But here's some good news. Writing on his social media platform, Half-Truth Social, Trump said, quote, "In honor of our nation's 250th birthday, and the fact that these correspondents now admit that I am truly one of the greatest presidents in the history of our country, the GOAT, according to many, it will be my honor to accept their invitation and work to make it the greatest, hottest, and most spectacular dinner of any kind ever." Chicken or beef, Mr. President? My God. Here's a man so devoid of modesty, humility, and intelligence, it makes me want to cry. As a freelance amateur pundit, I've studied the White House Correspondents Dinner extensively, and the most important thing for a president to bring to this dinner is simply a self-deprecating sense of humor.
One day as I was walking over to my nap, a guard stopped me in the hall and looked at me very carefully and said, "Excuse me, buddy, but do you work here?"
Let's go to a cowboy movie. Yep, finally went to see Brokeback Mountain. Let me tell you, wee! Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay!
These days I look in the mirror and I have to admit, I'm not the strapping young Muslim socialist that I used to be.
The humor follows a well-worn pattern. Make the most powerful man on earth look human, like an everyday schlub, just a dude, subservient to the most powerful woman in the world, his wife, the First Lady, FLOTUS.
I am married to the President of the United States, and here's our typical evening. 9 o'clock. Mr. Excitement here, sound asleep. And I'm watching Desperate Housewives. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a desperate housewife.
There's usually a few jokes about the home the people so graciously provide for them, describing life at the White House as kind of a hostage-taking situation, which is why Bill Clinton famously called the White House the pride and joy of the American penal system.
You might have heard that someone jumped the White House fence last week, but I have to give Secret Service credit. They found Michelle, brought her back. She's safe. She's safe back at home now.
the lighthearted sweet spot of the President's Correspondents Dinner monologue is to nail the quality that most presidents are in terribly short supply of: humility.
They suggested that I should start with some jokes at my own expense, just to take myself down a peg. I was like, guys, after 4.5 years, how many pegs are there left?
Oh God, Obama loved performing at these dinners. His writing room, i.e. his speech writing team, were young men, and they were raised on stand-up comedy. Every year they amped up the writer's room by bringing in the best comics and directors, eventually including Oscar-winning director Steven Spielberg in the production of a 20-minute speech at a banquet at a hotel in Washington, D.C. After watching Obama at these dinners, you'd think that he saw the presidency of the United States as just a kind of a resume enhancer for the gig that he really wanted: an 8-minute set at LA's Comedy Store on an open mic night. So it's all good fun, dropping insider jokes in a room full of 1,000 journalists who ripped you a new asshole every day for the past year.
I won't lie. Look, this is a tough transition. It's hard. Key staff are now starting to leave the White House. Even reporters have left me. Savannah Guthrie, she's left the White House press corps to host the Today Show. Norah O'Donnell left the briefing room to host CBS This Morning. Jake Tapper left journalism to join CNN.
Now, this will not likely surprise you, but President Nixon, not someone who excelled at self-deprecation, absolutely hated the dinner. He called it a, quote, disgusting and cruel event. And yet he went 4 times in the 6 years he was in Washington presidenting. Reagan, who started his career as an actor, seemed to love the dinner. In fact, in the 8 years he was president, he only missed it once, and he had a pretty good reason. He was recovering because a month before the dinner, he got shot, leaving the very same hotel, which I think would give anyone PTSD. Nonetheless, in the spirit of you can't keep a good president down, he did phone into the dinner.
Well, I'm happy to be speaking to the White House Correspondent Spring Prom. I'm sorry that I can't be there in person. Okay, if I could give you just one little bit of advice. When somebody tells you to get in the car quick, do it.
The presidential monologue at the White House Correspondents Dinner has a very specific format, or narrative arc, if you will. The coda is always the same. The laughter quiets. The president's tone calms. And they get all First Amendment-y.
Well, let me conclude tonight on a more serious note. I want to thank the Washington Press Corps. I want to thank Carol for all that you do. You know, the free press is central to our democracy, and nah, I'm just kidding. You know I've got to talk about Trump. Come on. We weren't just going to stop there. Come on. Although I am a little hurt that he's not here tonight. We had so much fun the last time. They say Donald lacks the foreign policy experience to be president. But in fairness, he has spent years meeting with leaders from around the world. Miss Sweden, Miss Argentina, Miss Azerbaijan. And there's one area where Donald's experience could be invaluable, and that's closing Guantanamo. Because Trump knows a thing or two about running waterfront properties into the ground.
When Trump appears at the dinner on April 25th, the teleprompter will be loaded with this. This dinner is a celebration of the Second Amendment and the important role played by me in fighting the enemy of the people, the fake news hacks in the most healthy republic in history. We are the hottest country. We used to be a dead country. Now we are the hottest country. 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 Shut up, MOTUS. You are a fucking moron. Okay, my exceptionalists, this is a great segue to the North. Canada, your future 51st state. I know your first question. Do you guys have a White House Correspondents Dinner? Well, we don't have a White House. In fact, the Canadian Prime Minister doesn't even have a house at the moment. He's currently homeless, crashing on the couch at a cottage on the Governor General's grounds. And if you want to know more about that housing crisis, may we recommend you tuck into episode 1 of season 5, which is called On the House. Forgive the promo. So now, we don't have a White House Correspondents Dinner, but we do have the Parliamentary Press Gallery, and they do like a banquet. The last one was held in November of 2025, and if you appreciate a really well-crafted dick joke, this is an event you don't want to miss.
Good evening, distinguished guests, colleagues, and members of the Press Gallery. My name is Don Davies, and my pronouns are broke and irrelevant. Now, Pierre Poilievre, I might have a small caucus, but at least it isn't shrinking. By the way, it's not the size of your caucus, it's what you do with it.
But at least we know there can be life after politics. Xav and Justin Trudeau are trying to enter the pop music industry in their own way.
Okay, for our American audience, we need to do a little backgrounder on the Trudeau joke because it's pretty deep. You see, Justin Trudeau, our former PM, has a son named Xavier. And last year, Xavier released his first record. It's a pop, R&B, rap ballad thing with auto-tune doing heroic service. And Dad, well, since leaving office, Justin's been in a bilateral romantic situationship with pop star Katy Perry. So now you get the joke. The Trudeaus are trying to get into the music business? Oh man, that's killing it.
Is bilateral the correct term?
Pi, remember the big staff meeting we had at the beginning of season 5, where we all decided we were going to try and have the pod taken more seriously so we could win a Pulitzer?
Yeah.
And we decided...
You decided.
And I decided that we would start using the language of the press pool. You know those phrases that working journalists use?
Working journalist? Wait, are working journalists still a thing? Do they still have, like, jobs and stuff?
Okay, words that grown-up journalists mutter ever so casually, like double-ender, the lead, the nut graph, B-roll, Codell, scoop, chyron.
We're audio only. We don't have chyron.
Maybe we could rent some.
On it.
To my ears, bilateral sounds smart, but not academic. And that's the sweet spot for pretentious podcasting. Yeah, baby. It's not the first time Justin's been bilateral. He's worked both sides of the border before. In fact, he made a cameo at Obama's White House Correspondents Dinner in 2015.
In fact, somebody recently said to me, Mr. President, you are so yesterday. Justin Trudeau has completely replaced you. He's so handsome. He's so charming. He's the future. And I said, Justin, just give it a rest.
But enough about you guys. I got a scoop for you. Have you ever heard our Prime Minister cuss? Probably not. He's what we call on the pod a charming technocrat. Very polite.
I've been busy. I'm standing on business. Booked and busy. Is this how it's done? Am I looking into the right camera? Will this do numbers on X? Should I turn up the rage bait? Fuck. I think all that tort says...
Oh, buddy, just 'cause you're building ports don't mean you can cuss like a longshoreman, geez, eh?
We are in a crisis. Make no mistake, Canada's brand newest government is acting decisively to protect our country and our identity. And it's working. It is working. For me, at least. I got promoted from governor to president.
And with that, we're going to wrap our primer on press dinners in North America with the phrase that our Prime Minister loves to say.
Final point. There will be no final point. There will be several.
Pi, hold up for a second. I can't resist. This is perhaps my favorite joke. One that works well in America, but I couldn't see working in Canada. Now, the backstory is this. The Secret Service had gotten themselves into some serious scandal trouble for their drinking, drug use, and whoring about while doing some kind of security site visit in Colombia. I'll let your former Muslim socialist president take it from there.
I really do enjoy attending these dinners. In fact, I had a lot more material prepared, but I have to get the Secret Service home in time for their new curfew.
I too have a curfew, but before I go, are we doing anything on the White House Correspondent Dinner? Action movie edition? Starring Donald Trump, not basket case Trump?
Chaotic scenes at this year's White House Correspondents Dinner as U.S. President Donald Trump was rushed off stage after shots were fired in the hotel where the event was taking place.
Do we want to do anything about this? A short field report? An editorial? Perhaps some Chiron?
Theme out.
Thanks for listening to Yes We Canada. No AI was harmed in the production of this podcast. The original idea for this episode comes courtesy of Lynn Tremblay. Pi Salen Cutler is our sound designer and senior engineer. Our theme was written by Doug Wild and Matt Zimbel and was performed by Menteca from the recording Monday night at the Mensa Disco. Please consider supporting our independent podcast with a paid subscription for as little as $3 a month by going to yeswecanada.buzzsprout.com, hitting the support button. You can cancel at any time. Your support means the world to us. My name is Lisa Evans, and I'm your announcer. Until next time.